What's going on, everyone? This is Kevin here, coming at you with 7 reasons to avoid getting the Samsung Galaxy A23 5G. So let's get started. Now, before we get too far into this, I do want to make one thing really clear. I think this device is a very good phone, especially considering that it is a budget option from Samsung. So many of the things that I'll be going over throughout this video are things that you would expect to find with a more premium Samsung device and not this one. That being said though, I don't want anyone to get this phone expecting to find certain features that are not here. So that's why I want to go over all of these things in this video so that if you end up buying this phone, there won't be any unfortunate surprises. So the first thing I want to go over are the materials that this phone is made of. Now this device is made completely out of plastic, besides the display, which is glass. Now that's actually a good thing, especially for the display, because it is Corning Gorilla Glass 5, which will make it extra durable. But as far as the other materials go, it's not necessarily that low of a quality of plastic, but it is indeed plastic, and this device will definitely pick up quite a few scratches and wear and tear as time goes on. So I definitely recommend that if you end up getting the Galaxy A23 5G, that you pair it up with a case, because it'll definitely give you a lot more longevity with your phone. Coming in at number 2, definitely has to be the processor. Now with this device, we're getting the Qualcomm Snapdragon 695 5G processor, so hence the name of the processor and the phone itself. This phone does support 5G connectivity, which is fantastic. It's definitely a good thing if you're going to get a brand new phone to have it support your carrier's latest and greatest network. But one downside with this processor is that it's not necessarily that fast. Now, there's certainly options out there that are quite a bit slower, but I think you'll definitely want to double check how the processor in this device compares to the phone that you currently have, because I certainly wouldn't want you to get the Galaxy A23 5G and have it end up being slower than your current phone. Now, fortunately, I did do a benchmark test running Geekbench 5, and I'll show you the scores from that test right now. But essentially, I got a single core score of 681 and a multi-core score of 1,999. So what I recommend doing is running this test in your current phone and then compare your scores to these scores to see how this device measures up. Now for the majority of people out there, the processor should at least be good enough to take care of the majority of tasks that you do on a smartphone. But if you are someone that likes to do a lot of higher performance gaming, maybe you're editing videos on your device, or maybe you just have a bunch of different apps and tons of different things running in the background at one time, I definitely think that you could end up noticing some decent slowdowns with the Galaxy A23 5G. So again, just make sure to double check how the performance of this device compares to what you currently have. Now moving on to number 3, another reason to potentially avoid getting this device is because it does not have wireless charging. Now, none of the Samsung A series devices have wireless charging, so keep that in mind, but that is a feature that you can find with every S series device. So if you're just expecting that every Samsung phone has wireless charging, then just know that you're not getting that here with this device. And I know that a lot of people don't use wireless charging, but for people that do, that's definitely a pretty important feature to have, because all the wireless chargers that you currently own are pretty much useless if you end up getting this phone. But I'm definitely curious to know what you think. Is wireless charging a feature that's important to you, or do you not mind having a phone that doesn't have it? Now the next thing I want to discuss is that there are no stereo speakers with the Samsung Galaxy A23 5G. Now, there is a main speaker on the bottom of the device, and it does work very well considering that this is a lower end phone, but you're not getting any audio coming out of the earpiece simultaneously. So for example, on more premium Samsung devices, such as the A53 5G, and of course all the various S series phones, you do get audio coming out of both the main speaker and earpiece as well, which gives you a louder, clearer, just more immersive audio listening experience, whether you're watching a video or listening to music or doing anything like that. Now, of course, if you use this phone for phone calls, which I'd imagine you will get audio out of the earpiece, but again, for listening to other types of content other than phone calls, you're not going to be getting audio out of the earpiece. You're only going to be getting it out of the main speaker on the bottom of the phone. So if your current phone has stereo audio, you might end up being a bit disappointed to find that this phone does not have that. Now with the Galaxy A23 5G, we have a very slim and compact box that the phone does come in. Now that is a great thing. However, one downside with that is that there is no USB wall adapter included in the box. Now thankfully, Samsung did provide us with a double-sided USB-C cable for charging and data transfer. However, there's a few issues with this. First thing is, most people do not have computers with USB-C ports in them, so if you do want to connect this device directly to your computer to either charge it or to offload content or maybe load some other videos onto the phone, then you're going to have to use an adapter with this cable. The other thing too is that the entire premise behind not giving us a charger included in the box was supposed to be that people already have a bunch of chargers laying around. Now, if you're like me, yes, I do have a lot of chargers, but all the chargers I have are USB-A. So you can't use this cable with a USB-A adapter. So essentially, unless you already have a USB-C wall adapter, which I do recommend getting one, it's good to have some of those, but if you don't have one already, you will have to go out and buy one. So I feel like they were halfway there with giving us a double-sided USB-C cable, but at least give us a USB-C wall adapter, even if it's not even that high of an end one. Like even if it's like a 5-watt USB-C wall adapter, that's better than nothing. The next thing I want to discuss is the notch that we're getting here with the device. So you probably noticed that there is a water drop notch at the top of the phone, and there's also a little bit of a thicker bottom bezel, and in that notch is an 8 megapixel front-facing camera. But overall, this general design of having the water drop notch and thicker bottom bezel has been reused so many times over the last several years. If you were to just look at this phone with just the display panel here, you really couldn't tell me what phone this is. There are dozens of different phones that have come out, whether it's from Samsung or other smartphone manufacturers, that literally look exactly the same as this device. Now, when it comes to budget phones, I know most people just want a phone that works. They don't care so much about the design of it, but at the same time, there really isn't anything new or interesting about the design of this phone. It pretty much looks like any Samsung phone that could have come out in the last several years. Again, this whole water drop notch design is really nothing original. So is it necessary to take a design that already works and change it for no reason? No, not necessarily. But at the same time, the design of this phone doesn't bring anything exciting, new, or interesting to the table. Now moving on to the next thing I want to address. And this is both a good thing and a bad thing. And that is the fingerprint sensor. Now the good news is that it's located on the side of the device, it's very easy to access, and it's also very responsive as well, so I have no issues with it overall. However, I would have preferred that they put the fingerprint sensor in the display on this device, as it just would have given it kind of a sleeker, better look to it, and also having an in-display fingerprint sensor really is a trend that has been growing over the years. There are other phones that compete with this one, such as the OnePlus Nord N25G, that do have an in-display fingerprint sensor. So that phone is not a higher-end phone compared to this one. In fact, they pretty much have the same MSRP. So it would have been great to have an in-display fingerprint sensor with the Galaxy A23 5G, especially considering that Samsung has already done that with many of their other phones, such as the Galaxy A53 5G and the A33 5G as well. Now, I do want to give credit to Samsung where it's especially deserved. This phone does have Face Unlock, which is a feature that you can find with pretty much every Samsung device, but the Google Pixel 6a and Pixel 6 Pro and Pixel 6, and I'm sure probably also the upcoming Pixel 7, do not have Face Unlock. So it's very impressive that a phone like the A23 5G does have Face Unlock, whereas those more premium options from that company, and also some others as well, don't have it. Now those are 7 reasons to potentially avoid getting this device, but let me give you one more as a bonus. And that is that there is no 4K video recording with either the rear or front cameras on this device. Now that's especially disappointing considering that at this point, most people have 4K TVs. I know I do, and if you don't, then your next TV will definitely support 4K video. And while this phone doesn't have a 4K display on it, it certainly would be nice to be able to take 4K video and put it on your TV at that full resolution. So it's not necessarily a feature that we absolutely must have with this phone. Of course, you can certainly live with just 1080p video recording, but at the same time, 4K video recording in 2022 certainly would have been a great thing to have here. And this is especially important if your current device does have 4K video recording, and that's a feature that you're used to using, and you just expect that any new smartphone nowadays would have that. Just know that you're not getting that here with the A23 5G. But this concludes my video on 7 reasons to avoid getting the Samsung Galaxy A23 5G. Most importantly though, I'm really curious to know what you think about all of those various things I mentioned in this video. Definitely let me know in the comments section below. Again, those are all things that I don't necessarily expect to find with a phone in this particular segment, but at the same time, I know that there's a lot of people that end up getting a lower end phone and they still expect to get every feature out there. So overall, the purpose of this video is just to kind of make it clear to everybody what you're going to be getting and what you're not getting with this phone in case you do happen to end up buying it. But I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, definitely give it a thumbs up. But this is Kevin here, and I will see you in the next one.